Hey there, Mountaineers! Welcome to episode 16 of Historyland. I'm your host, Matterhorn Matt, and in this episode we're going to be talking about the history of the extinct attraction America Sings. Let's get started. America Sings opened in Disneyland in the summer of 1974. It had replaced the iconic attraction, the Carousel of Progress, which was packed up and moved away to the Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland in Florida. If you haven't seen my Historyland episode on the Carousel of Progress, be sure to check it out, because it will give a lot of context to the video. In the early 1970s, the attraction was struggling to pull in its usual number of crowds. Imagineers knew that the Carousel Theater was still a great way to present a show, with a large hourly capacity and multiple theaters. Disney had already introduced the concept of audio-animatronic shows with the Enchanted Tiki Room and the Country Bear Jamboree, and with America's Bicentennial coming up, Imagineers knew exactly what attraction to put in the Carousel Theater.
Coming up next, learn about Disney history with Matterhorn Matt on Historyland.
Celebrate Disneyland's 35th in the Bay Area. BART and KSAN invite you to join Mickey and the gang at Jack London's waterfront. Enter at BART to win tickets. You could even win a family vacation to Disneyland's big year-long 35th celebration. You'll fly on Delta Airlines and stay at the Disneyland Hotel. Celebrate Disneyland's 35th in the Bay Area. Visit BART and listen to KSAN 94.9 FM for your chance to join the fun.
In 1973, the Carousel of Progress closed in Disneyland. Its replacement, America Sings, opened in June of 1974 as the first attraction to be created without the aid of Walt. America Sings was an audio-animatronic stage show that celebrated the history of American music. An all-star cast of audio-animatronics sang songs like Yankee Doodle, I've Been Working on the Railroad, Joy to the World, and many more. The designs of the characters were based on the concept art for the movie Chanticleer that got scrapped in the 1960s. Much like the Carousel of Progress, the show was split into different acts, the first being the loading/unloading area. Act 2 would be Going South, Act 3 would be Heading West, Act 4 would be the Gay 90s, and Act 5 would be Modern Times, followed by the finale. The host of the show, Sam the Eagle, was voiced by Burl Ives, who you may know as the snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. As each scene changed, Sam and his co-host Ollie would sing different variations of Yankee Doodle.
Yankee Doodle, sing it up, oh Yankee Doodle dandy. Find the music and the words and with the songs be handy.
The show used clever ways of bringing characters on stage, such as having the characters rise from the floor on one side of the stage, while lighting directed the audience's attention to the other side of the stage. It's also interesting to note that a weasel appears in every scene and says, "Pop goes the weasel."
Goodbye, goes a weasel.
The show had over 100 animatronics, 115 to be exact, so it was very impressive to see that all of them were very lifelike. The attraction opened 2 years before America's Bicentennial, and there is even a walk-around Sam the Eagle character.
I am proud to officially open to the general public Disneyland's 54th major attraction, America Sings. Here goes.
All seemed to be going well for the attraction. Then, less than 2 weeks after its opening, tragedy struck.
Up next, learn about Disney history and more with Matterhorn Matt on Historyland.
It is big.
We just love it.
Oh, I think it's great.
Wonderful. Awesome.
Oh, fantastic. That's stupendous. It's really big.
Incredible. It's great.
It's the best yet. It's the big Disneyland 35th Anniversary Party Gras Parade and Celebration.
Very, very big.
You could win tickets on Delta Airlines or a new Geo every day.
Come and see it. You'll love it.
Come to a party that's Disneyland big.
The following contains intense themes not suitable for everyone. On the night of July 8th, 1974, 18-year-old Deborah Gale Stone, a hostess for the show, was working her shift for the attraction. At approximately 10:40 p.m., a guest heard screams coming from the theater next to his. He noticed a cast member, but they said it was just part of the show. When they got to Debbie 20 minutes later, they found her crushed between the stationary theater wall and the rotating stage wall. One of the major differences America Sings had from the Carousel of Progress was that the Carousel Theater rotated in the opposite direction, instead of clockwise. This meant that a cast member only had to lean back to be caught between the two. She was pronounced dead at 11 p.m. After the incident, Disney installed breakaway walls and safety lights to aid the cast members. The attraction closed for 2 days and reopened on July 11th. It is reported that Debbie's parents tried to sue Disney, but there is no concrete evidence of what I could find. Debbie is buried in her hometown in Santa Ana. After running for 14 years, America Sings closed down in April of 1988. After the closure, a sign was placed in front of the attraction that promised a whole new attraction, which didn't happen until 1998, when the Carousel Theater was converted into Innoventions. Innoventions initially rotated, but nowadays the theater is stationary. One of the many reasons the attraction closed down is because it didn't really fit in Tomorrowland. Plus it ran for 12 years after America's bicentennial. Even though the attraction closed, many of its animatronics were repurposed for Disney's newest attraction, Splash Mountain. Others that didn't fit in with the ride were moved to other attractions, such as a goose in Star Tours. And even though the attraction is gone, many guests remember the attraction, and it will always be a Disney classic. And that's the history of America Sings. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to like and share the video with your friends. And if you ever got to experience America Sings, be sure to write down in the comments what you thought of it. Also, if you haven't already, join my Discord server to be included in lots of amazing Disney discussions with lots of Disney memes. Also, while you're at it, follow my Twitter. The links for those will be in the description. And if you haven't already, go listen to the latest episode of Matterhorn Mondays with Alex the Historian.
Well, okay, well, we know that they already have guest overflow corridors that they built on the back sides of the buildings of Main Street, and basically, you know, they have them open during the busiest times. But I think that a permanent solution, because those don't seem really like a permanent solution. I mean, let's say you just entered Disneyland. It just so happens to be crowded, and you want to walk down Main Street, but next thing you know, you're being ushered into the guest flow corridor, and you have to skip Main Street. You don't get to go to see the shops and things that you wanted to walk. Well, my idea is basically like what Disneyland Paris has, which are kind of like indoor alleys that are along the back sides of Main Street, and they're like guest flow corridors, except they connect to all the shops. And I think that Disney could build something like that on both sides of Main Street and have this indoor hallway kind of that accesses most of the buildings and stuff like that, and so that way people don't necessarily have to skip Main Street. They can still access it if they wanted to, or skip it if they wanted to.
I don't think I've seen what you're talking about in Paris, but I know the one sort of like elephant in the room when it comes to not just talking about Main Street, but talking about all of the other locations we have, is that there's really no space available to sort of do anything almost. I mean, we do have the overflow corridors like Alex said, but I hate going through those things. I absolutely loathe going through those things. It ruins the magic for so many people. I mean, you can see the I guess like the, I don't know what they call it, the boats for the Jungle Cruise that aren't being in use, and it's just not a good time. That's all for this week, Mountaineers. Have a great big beautiful tomorrow.